Let's start with the definition of occupational hygiene. The word hygiene is derived from a Greek word hygeia, which means the Greek goddess of health. Whether you are working as an occupational health clinician and a client has approached you asking for a workplace risk assessment, you will use a step-ladder approach to escalate your assessment from initial appraisal to basic survey, and then to a detailed survey based on your findings. The first step here would be to arrange an initial workplace visit called initial appraisal. You will take your handheld devices and start a walk-through survey. You will focus on a visual screening for hazards and check air quality using a direct reading vapor detector. If the peak levels are found low, no further action is needed. On the other hand, if the peak levels are noted as high, you will have to arrange a basic survey for your client. Basic survey measures exposure using personal monitoring techniques near the breathing zone of the worker. Samples are collected over full shift and from the worst case conditions. That is from workers with highest exposure. If results of basic survey suggest exposure is below 1/4 of workplace exposure limits, no further action is needed. However, a detailed survey is indicated in one of the three conditions. Number 1, if basic survey results are high, or number 2, if the substance handled is very toxic, or number 3, if exposure is variable. For example, many workers are exposed on different tasks. In addition to the personal sampling as done in basic survey, this detailed survey will also include static or fixed position sampling. It means that sampling devices will be set up at various locations within the workflow and samples will be collected during a specific shift duration. For large exposed population, monitoring should be arranged over more than one shift. It may be necessary to break down the work into various component tasks. Sampling can then be carried out over each of the periods to identify the major sources of exposure. If you don't know much about the different types of sampling methods, don't worry. We will discuss this in detail in a separate video tutorial within this unit.